Y'all hear me? What up? What up? What up? I see y'all on YouTube. Can y'all see it on the gram and Facebook? I don't know if Instagram and Facebook is connected. What's up? What's up? What's up? We cooling, man. We cooling. We're gonna talk about this Mercury retrograde a little bit. It's retrograde in the Aries. Y'all know the eclipse next week. Gonna get interesting. How everybody been doing, man? I can see y'all comments in here. I'm looking to see if people from Instagram can get in. I'm only seeing people from YouTube. That's what I like to hear, Zakiba. Anybody can tell me if it's streaming on YouTube? Oh, you there from Instagram, Gil? It's saying YouTube on there. So cool. People are making it from Instagram and YouTube. Dominique, what's going on? Cool. Thanks, Jerron. Dominique on YouTube. So we entering some interesting times, man. Gale World Group, what's going on? We give a few more minutes for other people to jump up in this thing, and we gonna get busy. We gonna get busy, man. Anybody had anything interesting going on in that lunar eclipse? We're gonna go through the houses on the Mercury retrograde. That start today in Aries. At about pretty sure it's 28 degrees. Okay. Triple M70. Yep, 27 degrees. So you're gonna be looking at your chart at 27 degrees. 27 degrees Aries, wherever that falls at in your chart, that's where your retrograde is going to be at. Your Mercury, that's the house where Mercury retrograde is going to affect you the most. Excuse me. I should have bit that gum out earlier, but 27 degrees, that's where Mercury is retrograde at 27 degrees Aries. So we're going to jump through all the houses, and once I figure out this software I got next week, I'll do a couple different readings for y'all live. Speaking of software, I got a free astrology software coming out for y'all about a week or so, maybe less. It's absolutely free, 100% free. But there are some payment options. It's not to get access to more features or anything like that. But if you use an astrology software, I'm getting access to your chart so I can study a myriad of charts. So I'm offering, some people who choose to pay a 50% discount on everything on my website. Some people, for the people who pay, I think maybe $47 or $97, and then like 20% for the people who pay $20. So we're gonna power everybody up. to say the least, the time is coming where people are gonna need help, a lot of help. That's not no scare tactic or anything. It's about to get saucy. It's about to get saucy. It's lunar eclipse. You've seen the stuff come out with Diddy, other celebrities, other political stuff. This solar eclipse, you're gonna see a lot of war. You're gonna see war in ways that you never thought you'd see it in your lifetime. That's the real. That's the reality of the situation. You know, I'm not gonna be the one who give you no peaches and cream. I'm not gonna be the one who give you the doom and gloom. If I tell you something, it's so you can situate yourself and move in power. As always, I highly recommend, if you're not part of Mystic University, that you join and learn to tap into your power. If you ain't been catching the divinity circles on Mystic Circle TV, I highly recommend that you start doing that immediately, because the messages that are being delivered from the Supreme Collective Conscious through the Divine Mother Monica Bader, they're to prepare you for what's coming and to help you become more aware of your ability to control how these things affect you. So that's pretty important that you're using the Mystic Circle TV app. Is free, and getting that information from that divinity sessions and those blessings that she do in those sessions. They're gonna turn you up a lot. With that being said, we're gonna jump deep into this Mercury retrograde again. Mercury is retrograde at 27 degrees Aries. So wherever you got 27 degrees Aries at in your chart, that's where the retrograde is going to be affecting in your chart. So if you got 27 degrees Mercury retrograde in your first house, Mercury retrograde in Aries is about reevaluating how you assert yourself. Reevaluating how you assert yourself and project your assertiveness. And if it's in your first house, it's important that you are working on how you present yourself to the world. And because your first house is opposite your seventh house, this is going to affect your personal relationships. It's going to affect your 10th house of career, and it's going to affect the situation at your house. These are all the cardinal houses that are square and opposite your first house. So it's important for people who have Mercury retrograde and Aries in the first house to reevaluate how they're presenting themselves to the world. Are you coming off too aggressive? Are you overstepping your leadership boundaries? Is your communication coming across in ways that are not meaningful and helpful to the results that you're trying to achieve in building your reputation, in creating the image for yourself that you would want the world to perceive you as? Again, Mercury controls the thought process, and it is the ruler of whatever houses you have Gemini and Virgo on. With that being said, how you assert yourself, because Mercury's retrograde in your first house, how you assert yourself is going to play a big role in what you get out of the houses where Gemini and Virgo are at in your chart. Does that make sense to everybody? Because it's not just the first house. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. So as I go through these houses, you have to pay attention to the houses where Gemini and Virgo are located in your chart, because the way you're thinking and the way that you're asserting yourself, the way that you're speaking, the way that you're driving, because Mercury is a planet of travel and it rules cars, cars, trains, and vehicles in general. It's important that you're not jumping the gun. In your second house, we're talking about your personal values, your self-worth, your money. Are you asserting yourself in ways that are going to position you to get where you want to go in life? For you to have the things that you desire, including your self-worth? Are you overthinking when it comes to, managing your resources, or are you allowing money or money that you think you have in your mind to burn a hole in your pocket? If you're allowing that, it's gonna, Mercury retrograde is asking you to backtrack and reflect on, not only how you assert yourself based on your self-worth. Are you asserting yourself in an arrogant way? Are you spending money like you don't have other financial obligations and things? If so, the houses where Virgo and Gemini are at in your chart, you are going to feel it. And in your second house, that's like your if you got it in your second house, then you got Virgo and Gemini. Those are the houses where you're gonna feel it at, man. And I know I don't use an equal house system, and nobody should. So everybody's gonna have different stuff on their house cusp, but you want to make sure that you're spending your money in ways that don't leave you feeling down and out after it's spent, and you don't want to spend compulsively. If you've been spending your money compulsively, Mercury retrograde in a second, and Aries is going to tell you need to reel it in. You need to reel in your spending, because you're going to cause problems in the areas where Gemini and Virgo are at in your chart. Your third house, this has to do with your local community, your siblings. It has to do with travel, communication, learning, studying, your mindset. And you got Aries on in the 27 degrees, Aries in the third. You're probably, moving around and thinking so fast that you're not getting ahead. You're doing more work than necessary and not getting the output that you expect, which can break you down, man, because you seem like your hamster wheel hustling. You're going over the same thing multiple times and not actually getting things done, or you're skimming over and going fast through things that you should be more attentive to and learning, which causes you to give up on learning this thing, or to do it in a way that is a waste of time and effort. Retrograde in the third can also bring about arguments and confrontations with your siblings. So if you're in the right, you're in the right. But sometimes it's not what you say, is how you say it. So it's important that you're communicating and asserting yourself in the right way. Even when you're leaving comments online, because Mercury rules writing and stuff like that. If you are in a position where your job can be affected in things by how you post on social media and stuff, you need to run a check. You need to run a check and make sure you're not creating conditions that can hinder your ability to get where you want to be in life. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, throw some thumbs up in the comments, so I make sure everybody on point and getting what they need. The fourth house, this has to do with your family. It has to do with your father. It has to do with your household, your diet, because the fourth house rules the kitchen. It's naturally ruled by the moon and food. This is a time where you should consider eating better, eating in a way that's going to allow you to have the energy, not just the physical energy, but the mental energy, because we're talking about Mercury retrograde. You know, the energy to produce the results that you desire. In regards to your household and family trauma, this is a time for evaluating how much you allow the bull crap that you picked up throughout your life to affect your life today. And the divinity session that for Mystic Temple, divinity session number 8, that was based on that today. You know, yesterday, I mean, talking about carrying trauma throughout your life and allowing it to, you know, hinder you from growing and flowing with your natural blessings and abundance. You have to let that go. And Mercury and Aries is a sign of independence. So if you're carrying a lot of trauma and stuff from your childhood, you know, carrying a burden bag of bull crap you picked up from your parents and your immediate family while you were growing up, now is the time to evaluate that and start thinking independently. Mercury and Aries, regardless of the house where it's in, it's about independent thinking, because Aries is a sign of independence, assertiveness, leadership, taking the lead and moving your thought process away from the thought process that you learned growing up. You know, a lot of times people play the blame game. How they grew up, where they grew up, what circumstances were in their childhood. Well, you know at a certain age, you know, usually around 13 or 14, sometimes earlier, you know, you don't like being treated like crap. You know positive from negative, you know good from bad. And you have to, you know, use this Mercury retrograde energy to take into account the things that you don't want to experience, and realize that you shouldn't be making anybody else experience them either. Letting go of those traumas and learn behaviors that cause faulty thinking patterns. The fifth house. Fifth house has to do with investments. It has to do with short-term relationships, your children, how you communicate to your children. Are you over aggressive when you're talking to your children? Are you lacking patience? Are you verbally abusive? These are things you have to look into in your fifth house. Are you taking unnecessary risks, gambling and investing? Or are you taking calculated risks? Again, Mercury is a sign of action, and you know, I mean, Aries is a sign of action, and Mercury in Aries is in the fifth is asking you, how can you take action in your investments that will lead to victory? Aries is a sign of war. You're not, when you're playing the stock market and things like that, you're at war. And you have to be able to assess the situation in ways that will guarantee your victory from your investments. Your short-term relationships. How can you gain victory in bringing your children up in a way where you can be a leader and not just, you know, somebody who bears down on them real tough verbally and aggressively, and they pick up those negative patterns and trauma. That making sense to anybody? Anybody got Mercury retrograde and they fifth in here? If so, I hope that resonates with you. When you jump into the sixth house is our house of health. It's the house of agriculture and farm, and the house that rules our pets. And more importantly, it's the house that governs the service that we are meant to provide to the world. People with Aries on the 6th house tend to be firefighters, policemen, involved in military and things like that. Mercury in the 6th retrograde in Aries is asking you to evaluate. Are you doing the things that you can do to provide service to your community? Are you being a leader? Are you taking the initiative to ensure that your health is good? If you are not, this is a time where you may find that you get bad hangnails, cut your hands, burn your arms, things like that are reminding you to take time and pay attention to your health. Pay attention to the way that you're, communicating. This is a time where you get excessive headaches because Mercury rules the nerves. And if you're all amped up and things like that, you are creating conditions of stress which cause your blood vessels in your head, because Aries is a sign that rules the head, to expand. And you start to get headaches and things like that. This is a good time for you to learn how to decompress and de-stress. Stop allowing your thoughts to create unnecessary adverse energy for you. Your 7th house, this is dealing with your relationships, your close partnerships, any type of legal issues that you have going on. The 7th house is the house of marriage, but it's also the house that governs divorce. It's a house of peace and a house of war. Our house of our most trusted advisors is the 7th house. Are you over asserting yourself, or are you taking advantage of the advice? When I say taking advantage, I mean acting on the advice that you receive from your trusted advisors. Mercury retrograde in the 7th is asking you to listen more to your spouse. Take action on the things they communicate to you. When your spouse, your trusted advisor, your doctor, if your doctor been telling you, look, you got to cut out sweets, this is the time when you want to fall back and take action that is received from the advisors. This is a time when you need to evaluate if your communication in your relationship and the way that you communicate to your significant other is helping you grow, or if it's destroying your relationship and making them feel oppressed. You picking up what I'm putting down? The 8th house. The 8th house is the house of other people's resources. It's the house of mediumship, death, personal transformation, taxes and debt, mortgage, loans, and things like that. When Mercury is retrograde in the 8th, it's coming around telling you take care of your business if you owe people money. Communicate with the people who owe you so you can get paid. Communicate in a way that's assertive, but not in a way that's over assertive, because you don't want to create conditions where you can't get paid, where you can't get a loan, where you can't get a mortgage, where you can't get an extension on your debt. This is the time to take action. Fill out any paperwork that needs to be filled out to resolve any collection issues and things like that you may have. And I'm not talking about, running any of these fake credit scams. I'm talking about really taking care of your business. Again, the 8th is the house of mediumship. This is a time while Mercury's retrograde to really start reflecting on your ability to communicate with spirits if you got Mercury in the 8th house. Working with spirits that have the energy of Mars, ancestors that were protector spirits and have that Aries energy. This is a really good time for you to work on tapping in with them. Really good time for that. And if you're not in Mystic University, you need to go and jump on that mediumship course, because it'll do you a lot of good. A lot of good, man. Um, the ninth house. The ninth house is our house of higher education. It's our house of faith and belief. It's the house that governs publishing. I know a lot of you guys out here have a lot of information that the world can benefit from. I know a few of you guys are professionals on here because you're my clients, or you've been following me for a long time. You got, 27 degrees Aries, Mercury retrograde in your ninth. It's time for you to start that writing project, to get that book published, to get that article, that blog post published. Time to get those things published. This is a time for you to assert yourself and reevaluate if you are taking your spiritual study serious. For you to fall back and really check out if you are acting on the thoughts that you believe in your spiritual power. If you believe you have psychic ability, if you believe you're connected to the gods, are you asserting yourself that way? Not just in thought, but in speech? Are you commanding abundance into your life? Or are you lighting candles begging for that shit? This is the time for you to reevaluate how you think and how you assert yourself in thoughts and deeds in regards to your faith and your beliefs. If you've been trying to learn new knowledge and things like that, this is the time. This is the time to evaluate if you've been taking your study serious. And if not, you need to come up with a strategy, because the sign of Aries is about war and strategy. It's about asserting yourself, but it's about war, and wars are won through strategy. Come up with a study strategy. Come up with a strategy for you to get that degree that you've been wanting to get, or that certification, or learning how to code. It's time for you to utilize this Mercury retrograde energy and reevaluate, the way you've been thinking that's hindering you from achieving those publishing, education, or spiritual goals, personal faith goals that you haven't been hitting the way that you want to hit. You dig what I'm saying? The 10th house. This is the house of career. Now, the 10th house, the house of career, and it's also your place in the world. How you're making your mark. What type of statement you're making about, what you're meant to do here. It has to do with your job and career. It also has to do with your mother. Are you allowing, your relationship with your mother to hinder you, or the lack thereof, to hinder you and keep you bound in thought patterns that don't allow you to be all that you can be? Because sometimes, we allow ourselves to be vehicles for our parents to live vicariously through us, thinking and behaving in ways that your mom would expect, when that's not what's best for you. Now is the time to start asserting yourself. Cutting the cord doesn't necessarily mean cutting your mom off, but it's becoming your independent individual, understanding your thought patterns and your beliefs, and projecting them out there in the world, so you can achieve what you want to achieve in life, so you can make your mark on society. Yes, we come from our parents, and we want our parents to be proud of us, but we're all here on individual missions. Are you asserting yourself and speaking out in a way that's going to strategically position you in your profession? Or are you lashing out and talking in ways and thinking in ways that are going to undermine you from getting where you want to be in your professional life. Mercury retrograde in the 10th is asking you to reevaluate that. For those just joining, Mercury is retrograde at 27 degrees Aries. So if 27 degrees Aries is in your 10th house, I'm talking to you. Don't let your thought process, negative thought patterns, or thought patterns when you think where you're thinking that you're, hot stuff, but you're just a cold turd on a paper plate, misposition you to lose out on good opportunities. Mercury in the 11th is the 11th is the house that governs networking. It rules social organizations, whether it's the Freemasons, fraternities, sororities, Fraternal Order of Police, the UAW, the Veterans Association, whatever social organization you're in that has to do with community building and fellowship. The 11th house rules those things, as well as the money that you get from your career. A lot of times they say the 11th house is the house of wishes fulfilled. And that's because the 11th is the second from the 10th, which means it's the value that we get from our place in the world. What the payout, the money and wealth we receive from living our purpose. So if you're not fulfilling your 10th house obligation, you can't get all the benefits that you could get out of networking and socializing if you're not being all that you can be when you're presenting yourself to the world in a professional manner. Does that make sense to everybody? It's time to evaluate that. Get out there and communicate. Mercury is the planet that governs networking. It rules networking. It rules communication. It rules letters, contracts, and things like that. So if you're not asserting yourself in a way for that you can maximize the potential of your 11th house, this is a time to backtrack. Stop thinking about it, because look, I'm going to tell you this as a marketer, and an astrologer. A lot of times entrepreneurs and stuff, they're always trying to soak up more information. If you're thinking, if you're studying, you're not doing. So this is a time for you to freeze your thoughts, organize the information that you have gathered thus far, and put together a plan of action. Mercury in Aries is about strategizing and creating a plan for action. Because when Mercury goes into Taurus, this gives you the opportunity to solidify that information, to bring it from a plan into an action that you can reap benefits from, because Taurus is the natural place sign and ruler of the second house, and things governed by the second house. So you want to get your strategies together now so you can materialize them in the house that follows. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that's how you are going to get your payout from your strategy, your strategic thinking. So in the 11th, it's time to strategize on your networking and really come up with a plan of action that you can start initiating when Mercury goes direct on I believe it is April 25th. So April 25th, Mercury goes direct at basically 16 degrees Aries, and now to give you the oomph, and you got everything planned out. You got your strategy together. So when it goes direct on the 25th, whatever house it's in, you can put those plans into action. you can put those strategies into action and really reap the benefit in the houses where Gemini and Virgo are at in your chart. Whether it's a money house, a relationship house, a personal development house, or a transformative house. You will reap big benefits if you have your strategy planned out and reevaluated how you've been thinking and moving during the retrograde. That makes sense to everybody? So the 12th house is the house of rest, but it's also the house of prison. It's the house of substance abuse. Mercury retrograde in the 12th house is asking you to consider how you allow your thought processes or the failure to create a strategic thought process imprison you. And a lot of times when Mercury's in the 12th house, whether it's natally or by transit, people get caught up in their thinking so much that they never get nothing done. Or they allow especially the 12th house, you're allowing your thinking to get you dug into a hole based on fear and anxiety, worry. And some of the fears aren't even realistic because anxiety is created by fear of things that may happen in the future. These things haven't even happened yet, but you're creating fear and anxiety for yourself, imprisoning yourself in these negative energies that haven't even happened yet. It's not even a guarantee that it's going to happen. So this is a time where you learn to strategically think in ways of freeing yourself rather than ways of imprisoning yourself with things that might happen. Does that make sense? If you want to quit drinking, you want to quit smoking weed, you have any behavior that inhibits you, cripples you, makes you dependent, Mercury retrograde in the 12th house is the perfect time for you to get a hold of those thought processes and free yourself. Create a strategy to free yourself from addiction. Free yourself from thought patterns that lead you to be violent and aggressive against yourself. That lead you to undoing your potential. This is a time for you to come up with strategies of freedom. If it's in your 12th house, the house where Gemini and Virgo are found are areas where you may find yourself in prison or locked down or delusional in your thinking. The 12th house is also a house of psychic ability. So this is another place for you to really start, turning up on your psychic intuition, because Aries is the sign of taking initiative, taking action. You really want to, turn yourself up. Meditation is a good thing to do. Meditation by candlelight or by a what do you call those? Paraffin lamp that has an open flame. Fire meditations are really good for you at this time. And candle magic are really good too, to free yourself from the prisons that you find yourself confined in based on your thought process. If Mercury is retrograde in your 12th house in Aries. It's okay, Crystal. I'm gonna make sure everything gets saved and posted to the best of my ability, so everybody can catch it. Oh, M3 M70. If Gemini moon is in your 12th house, then you probably got Mercury retrograde in your 10th house. But the moon in the 12th house is definitely a good sign for meditation and things like that. You know, the moon is a very changeable sign, and it has to do with your, subconscious mind. So you allow your thoughts to really, really get down on you. So you definitely should meditate every day. Again, that covers all the houses, but we're gonna drop some more information on the solar eclipse, and I'm gonna catch up on these other things, man. Like I said at the beginning of the thing, I've been putting together a really nice astrology software for everybody for free. And I'm definitely gonna have to jump back into action and start helping people, man, because it's about to get tight. It's about to get tight. Those of y'all that follow me on Instagram know I've been doing very specific power ups, and some of y'all have experienced them for the eclipse. I will be doing a massive solar eclipse ritual for Aries, activating your Aries energy in your chart. Also, it comes with a free energetic cleanse and chakra balance, prosperity, everything to get you powered up, because everybody's definitely gonna need it. If COVID say if Jupiter is in Aries, does that mean Aries is in the second house? No, that doesn't mean Aries is in your second house unless you got Aries on your second house cusp. I really, really wish I had time tonight to look at some charts and stuff like that. I'm gonna jump back on here live again, because this really the only way that y'all see my stuff on YouTube. That's why I really ain't been bothering posting. So I post and then it don't got no sound. That an hour of my life wasted, man. Because they on joke time. So the people who catch it live always hear the sound. So that's why I've been doing them live, man. We gonna figure out how I can get the astrology software up, and we'll do some free reading sometime this week, or next week, probably next week after the eclipse. But again, like I say, we got this Aries eclipse activation ritual on the 8th, 7 o'clock. This the link if you want to join. Sign up, get down. If you in my class, make sure you use your coupon code. You know what it is. If you're in Mystic University, there's a coupon code for y'all too. If you don't know the coupon code, shoot me a DM, and I will send you a DM showing that you're a member of Mystic University, and then I'll shoot you a coupon code. We definitely gonna try to get this software together before the end of the week, so y'all can really deep dive into your charts and have questions when we come on here live. Anybody got any questions tonight in regards to Mercury through the houses? Trip Carlisle, Freedom X. Okay, what's up, bro? Anybody got questions in regards to the Mercury retrograde? Oh, you're welcome, Al Nisa. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. I got a few minutes to answer them, but at 10 o'clock, I'm going to sleep. If ain't nobody got no questions, let me know, and I'll get up out of here and let y'all get some sleep too. If that's come on, Ill Magic, what you got? It could affect the house where Mars is located, but not as much, because Mars isn't the planet that we're talking about. Mars does rule Aries, but we're focused on the planet Mercury and the houses Mercury rules. How might this retrograde affect those that work in tech? Oh shoot, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. And y'all see I ain't been really talking about the political situation in the world. You know, I got cyber attacked and got harassed by some political people. You know, it's gonna be a lot of cyber attacks. It's definitely gonna increase the cyber attacks and things like that. You are going to see a lot of people in tech quitting their jobs before they can get laid off and fired, and people who are getting laid off, and it will be several tens of thousands of people being laid off from tech jobs. Maybe even over 100,000. But you will see people coming together with you know their information and understanding that they gained in these companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon web server and all this stuff, and creating new products and new opportunities for their sector to employ people. So is definitely going to affect tech, their cyber attacks and things like that, but it's also going to create opportunities for leaders who have been laid off or quit because they don't, you know, subscribe to the political beliefs and things that the companies are supporting at this time, like genocide. They're going to start creating competitive products, which is going to open up a lot of doors. Thank you for that question, Taylor. EO Magic say, what does it mean for Aries who has Scorpio in the 12th house? Scorpio in the 12th house is a house of mediumship, but you know, this means that Aries is like on your 5th or 6th house. So you need to refer to the information I gave on the 5th and 6th house, and then look at the houses where Virgo and Gemini are at in your chart to get the best information. Sickle Cell Soldier said, should we be outside during the eclipse? It's not going to hurt you to go outside. I wouldn't recommend looking directly at the eclipse unless you want to burn out your retinas and stuff like that. But when you go outside during the eclipse, especially a solar eclipse like this, you notice that everything's still, even the animals quiet. The bugs quiet, dog. The bugs be quiet during the eclipse. The air is still, like you can feel some type of, you know, phenomenon is going on. Trip Carlisle say, should we put our crystals outside for the eclipse? It depends on what you're trying to do. You know, are you trying to, you know, use them to channel your eclipse energy? Like what is your purpose of doing that? You know, a solar eclipse, you know, the sun becomes hidden and concealed. So there is going to be some secret wars going on. I'll tell you that. There's going to be a lot of death in the military that they don't tell you about. I'll tell you that too. But far as putting your crystals outside, it all depends on your objective. You know, are you trying to conceal some type of energy in the crystals? Are you trying to conceal your assertiveness? Are you trying to, you know, what are you trying to do with that Aries energy? If you're just trying to, you know, put it in your crystals, you want to make sure they're crystals that resonate with either the sun, the moon, or Mars, or the planet Aries. You don't want to put nothing that's ruled by, you know, like Libra, the opposite of Aries, or Venus, the opposite of Mars, out in that eclipse energy to soak up energy for using it, because that's contradictory to the energy. Excuse me, you know, Saturn energy, you don't want nothing that's governed by Saturn in there, because Saturn is a planet that slows things down, and Aries energy is explosive. You dig what I'm saying? K Sharp say, what does it mean for Mercury to be in a 13 degrees Taurus? Well, we're not really talking about Mercury and Taurus right now, but I will tell you, you know, Mercury at 13 degrees Taurus, you know, Mercury and Taurus in general is a stubborn thinker. Mercury and Taurus though is at 13 degrees. You have Mercury and Taurus, but you also have Virgo characteristics because it's in the second decadent of or decan of Taurus, which means you think, you know, a stubborn thought pattern, but you think based on information and data, and you're very perfectionist when it comes to your thinking. You know, if you really want to in-depth reading about your chart, you can wait till this free astrology software come out, or you can book a reading at redclawconjure.com, and we'll really jump deep into your chart in ways that you can't get on a computer reading. I tell you that. So if everybody's good, I'm about to cut this thing off and kick on back. I appreciate everybody who showed up and everybody who answered the questions again. We got this eclipse ritual on the 8th. If you dare to join, it will be a virtual ritual, and I will be hitting you with some power. Y'all have a good night, man. I'll be back soon.